Okay, we are live. Welcome to Lyonsview Realty Financial Fridays. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Just depends on where you are and when you are watching this broadcast. My name is Clara Lyons-DeVaughn. I am the broker owner of Lyonsview Realty. Our team provides residential, commercial for small businesses and nonprofits, and property management services. And I'm excited to announce we do credit counseling, distressed homeowner solution, lifestyle, health, wealth, and wellness education. So why are we here? We're here because Lyonsview Realty launched Financial Fridays to help you stay current on those trends that impact your bottom line. Our goal is to provide you with resources, information, and tips to assist you in making the best financial decisions. And our commitment is to maximize your wealth building power now and in the future. So I'm so glad you tuned in today. Welcome. Our guests are here as a resource to you. So if you have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat, any comments, any suggestions, put those down in the chat. And I'm really excited to welcome our guest today, Miss Arnita Green. Hello, Miss Green.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh,
Really excited to be here to talk with your viewers today and share some great information. Thank you.
awesome. So we were chatting. We've been chatting back and forth, and this is kind of a topic that's near and dear to my heart, right?
Mhm.
Um, there's so many people, like just with the pandemic and everything that's been going on. A lot of people made transition, and we live, we die every day, but a lot of times people are just not prepared for what happens after they're gone and how they leave their family. So today we're going to discuss the necessary steps, for people to protect their assets, and the people in your life. Those people you've worked really hard for what you've got, and there's steps that you can take to set up an estate plan or a trust so that those assets pass directly to your loved ones according to what you wish, right? And also how you can utilize some of that while you're still here and build that legacy. So I'm really excited that you are here today. And if you could just tell our audience a little bit about yourself and how you got started in this industry.
Yeah, well, my journey started about 4 years ago. I have been a practicing pharmacist in both retail and corporate settings. In management. And I had all the traditional types of saving and investments accounts, a 401 and Roth IRA and some brokerage accounts. But I still felt like I needed to learn more to grow my wealth and the goals that I had for my life and my family, right? So in doing the research, I found life insurance was a way to do that. And then as I kept researching, I realized that it's one thing to have the assets, right? Because a lot of times we're good at accumulating wealth, but we don't know how to protect it. And
Mm,
so then I learned about estate planning and trust, of the revocable living trust. And so I thought pairing those together was a great match because you want to, one, build wealth, but you also want to be able to protect it for yourself and then for your heirs. So that's how it came about. And then just understanding that if I didn't know this and I'm educated, how many other people don't know this information as well, right? So I felt like I had a responsibility to share this information and let as many people know what we need to do um, to protect our assets and to continue to create generational wealth for our family and our heirs and for generations to come. So we don't have to start over. Our next generation doesn't have to start all over again, right?
right.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of my story in a nutshell there.
That's a wonderful story. It's actually a great testimony because a lot of times, like you said, people just don't know what they don't know. And It's good that you saw an opportunity there, not only for your family, but to share what you know with other families. So I'm really glad that you're here today. And I was looking at the name of your company, Greentree Financial. I really like that. So
Thank
how did you
you.
come up with your company name?
So it's like a two-sided coin, right? So Green is my last name, so I wanted
Mhm.
to incorporate that some kind of way into my name. And then Tree, I have a funny story. So as a kid growing up, my mom and some family members and I used to go to the blueberry field and pick blueberries. So I said to my mom, I thought you said money doesn't grow on trees. Because after you pick so many blueberries, you would turn them in and then you get a little cash. And at the time, I was like 10 years old, but I was able to connect the dots, right? And then as I got older, I read a proverb that said that you want to be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, right?
Mm,
So not only does a tree symbolize to me prosperity, but it also symbolizes longevity, stability, and wisdom, right? So um, I wanted to bring that aspect into the mission statement of my business, that we're here for longevity for our clients, stability, and to impart wisdom and to provide financial solutions.
that is awesome. I love it. I love it all. And I can just see that image, the
Yeah,
green, the tree, and all the things that represents. So thank you. I love it. I love that story. Oh,
thank you. Thank you.
and you kind of touched on this a little bit, but a lot of people, some people don't even know what an estate plan or a trust is. But, before we get into what it is, why is it important to have an estate plan or.
Yeah, well, you know what? I found that a lot of people are under the notion that if they have a will, that's enough, right?
Mhm,
And it's really not. And so that's where the education piece comes in, because
mhm,
a lot of people have been told as long as you have a will and you write everything down and get it notarized, then you should be good. But the will is really considered a wish list. And it's not private. It's still, when you die, it has to go to the court, and then um, the judge will determine if it's a valid document, right?
okay.
And then anybody can contest it. So although you wrote down what your desires are, if you have children or family members, they can contest that and hold up the whole process for years.
Mhm,
So children or spouses may be thinking that once their loved one dies, all of their assets just directly go to them and don't realize the process that's involved with the will going to probate court.
mhm,
So, and once it gets to probate court, there's fees that are paid, right? So a lawyer is involved. So they get a percentage of your estate, an administrator, an executor, plus the fact that your grieving loved one will still have to come down for court appointments and take time off of work. And and I might be getting ahead of myself, but I'm
no,
really
this is good.
passionate about this because people think, oh, well, as long as I take it down there, it should just go smoothly. But when people are emotional because they've lost a loved one, you
Mhm,
never know how that process is going to unveil itself. And the
right.
things that they thought that they were going to get, that is not in the will. And they can contest it. And whoever has the best lawyer can convince the judge that their way is right. So even though you have it written down, if
Mhm,
they have a lawyer and the two siblings or several siblings or family members, they can contest it with a lawyer, and whoever has the best narrative can win whatever those assets are. So a trust and an estate plan is very detailed on what you want to see happen with your assets and how you want them directed. and it does not even go through the court system. It bypasses the court system, and it eliminates that process. And it could be everything can be transferred to your loved ones within a 15 to 20-minute process versus going through the court system, which is like now, because of COVID, a 2 to 3 year process that your loved ones could be in court.
Wow, wow, that's a major difference. And I didn't realize too that even though you have a will, that it still has to go through probate. You know,
Mm-hmm.
awesome, awesome. So basically, the difference between them, the will and the trust. The will is just one instrument, and the
So
trust. Yeah, go
the
ahead.
will is an instrument that is like a wish list,
Okay.
but it still has to go through probate, whereas a trust is a private, secure instrument that does not have to go through the court system or through probate at all. So your assets are protected from the government.
Okay. And then the trust, you can specifically designate how you want things to go, and that's it.
Absolutely. You
Okay.
could designate, like, if a person, just for instance, if a person has children and
Mhm.
they have a lot of assets and wealth, they can say, I want to designate $5,000 for their wedding or for their education, um, or to start a business or for a new home, right? So you can be very specific
Mhm.
with how you want your money to be distributed.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, what types of assets can people put into a trust?
So that's a great question. And I'm glad you
Mhm.
asked, because sometimes I talk to people and they're like, well, I just have a house,
Mhm.
but that's an asset, right? So I talk to people who are baby boomers that say, oh, well, I paid off my house and, the kids can have the house, but they don't really understand the process that is involved with that. It's not just going to just go to them. But it would, if you have a house, would be an asset, right? If you have motorized vehicles like ATVs or RVs or trailers or boats, right? Those are things that you want to put in your estate plan. If you have brokerage accounts, right? If you have a business, so you have children, what percentage of ownership are you going to transfer to your business, right? What does that look like? So all of those things we talk about and go through, and it gives you the opportunity to make those decisions ahead of time and have that control.
That's good to know because I don't think people look at their financial wealth as a group of things, right? They may look at it as the money they have in the bank, their property, as you said, but vehicles, businesses, even, all of those things are
Land as
land.
well, minerals. Some people have gold or
Coin.
collectibles, right?
Yeah.
So
Is
you start.
crypto considered an asset now?
Um, it can be, but that's more on the brokerage side, right? That's kind of an investment. But that's the thing, is that sometimes people don't really think they have assets. But then when you just start asking questions, when I start asking questions, it's things that they hadn't even thought about as an asset, that if once they die, what happens to those things, right? Because sometimes we just get busy living life and just maintaining what we have, and we forget to protect
Indeed, indeed. So that's one of the other things, how do people build wealth? We don't talk about that a lot. We just kind of make money, but
it. Right.
that's not necessarily building wealth. And like, kind of, how would you define wealth? Because that might be part of the issue. And then how do people build it?
So, and that's an awesome question too. So, um, wealth building is um, it's something that can last for generations,
Mm,
right? So that's how I see wealth. Some people, there's a difference between having riches and wealth. Riches is just isolated to money, but
Mhm.
wealth is the houses, the land, life insurance. So a way that an easy way that people can begin to build wealth is through having cash value permanent life insurance policies.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because a life insurance policy works two ways. So I just want to preface that by saying a lot of people that I run into just think of life insurance as, oh, what I need for my funeral or my burial, right?
Mhm.
And again, it's that education gap that they don't know that life insurance can be used to build wealth. So within the cash value permanent life insurance policies, there's a component in the life insurance policy that as you're making your monthly payment,
Mhm.
it's building cash value. So it's like having a bank inside your life insurance policy that earning interest every month you pay into your policy. On one hand, you're building cash value, which in turn you can use that money and loan against your policy.
Mhm.
So you can pull that money out. So you can, if the kids need a car or you want to go on a vacation, you can pull that money out. And the beauty of how life insurance works, you pull it out as a loan, and then there's no taxes that you have to pay on it because it's considered a loan against the policy.
Right.
And it's your money because it's in your life insurance policy. You can pay it back at any time, or if you choose not to pay it back, it just reduces your death benefit. So, for instance, say you get a policy for $100,000.
Mhm.
The death benefit is $100,000. So once you die, then your family would get the $100,000, right? So right there, once you die, you're immediately your family gets $100,000 that before they didn't have.
Mhm.
But then on the flip side of it, while you're living, you've been paying into this policy and have cash value, and you can pull, say, $10,000 out and invest that. And while you're pulling that money out, the way that some policies are set up, it doesn't look like the money's been pulled out, so it's still earning interest on that $10,000.
Gotcha. Nice.
So yeah, it's just a beautiful marriage of how Rockefellers and Carnegie's, those families that we hear about, have used life insurance and trust to build their wealth for generations.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I like that whole two for concept. So you get the value of two things by doing one thing, right?
Right. Yeah. And
Right.
it's tax free because when you pull it out, it's a loan, so you don't pay really any interest. You don't pay any taxes on it because it's considered a loan against your life insurance policy, which is
Mhm.
better than taking out a personal loan that you have to pay interest on, right? Or
Right.
going to a bank where, in order to get a loan, you have to have a particular credit score to get a good rate. All of those things are avoided when you use your own life insurance policy that has cash value. And the other thing is you can overfund it. So you can pay more than just your monthly amount. So if you
Okay.
get a bonus from your job,
Mhm.
don't put in there,
Yeah.
because it's growing that interest. And the thing about it, if you look at some of the savings vehicles for like a bank, a savings account, maybe like 0.05%. I mean, it's really small, or a CD, maybe
Mhm.
1.5%.
Mhm.
And typically, you'll find the interest rates for some of the permanent policies can be anywhere from 4% up to 8%.
Mhm.
So that's a pretty good return on your money, right?
Mhm.
So,
It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. And I think people, don't understand certain things. So it stops them, or they don't get started at all just because they don't know, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Now, when should people start the whole process of estate planning?
Well, I would suggest that you started as soon as you have house assets that need to be protected. So if you have a house, right?
Okay.
If you have a family,
Hmm.
so you want to set that up, and you really want to look at what what goals do you want for your life, for your family, right? I
Hmm.
think that's important to know, and what values you want to instill um, in your life and for your family, so that everybody understands what the core values of your family are and what you stand for as a family, and then move forward in that direction. So, as soon as you have assets that need to be protected, you need to get an estate plan and a trust.
Yeah. And how
You know
often?
why? Because we don't know what tomorrow brings, right? We didn't know
Not at all.
COVID was going to hit, and just the fact people were in the hospital and um, couldn't have family members come in to visit, and some people didn't make it. So the better prepared you are for now and your future, it makes everything run more smoothly.
Indeed, indeed. So, when you get or like, I guess when you start the plan, are there certain things that need to be in that plan? Are there specific documents that would be part of a
Yeah.
package?
So we do have a comprehensive estate plan and trust that we provide that is on a digital platform. So we can do it right online, and once it's complete, people can access it at any time. And I think that is one of the many benefits of having it digitally, because it gives you control over your estate plan, and you don't have to go to a lawyer every time you need to get um, it updated, right? So, because
Yeah,
every time you go to a lawyer, it can get costly, and 9 times out of 10, people just don't go.
yeah.
So, having the estate plan, um, it helps people to have that control. So, some of the things that are in the estate plan would be your advanced medical directives.
Okay.
Um,
What does that do?
the So the advanced medical directives are like your end of life directive. So you get to have control and power over the choices for your life at the end of your life, which
Okay.
means that you determine now if you want pain management, if you're ever in a situation where that would be necessary.
Okay.
So you remember we've had the opioid crisis, right? So
Yeah.
they really cracked down on giving people pain medication.
Hmm.
So you have to say that that's something that you would want, or you may not get it even if you need it. So a
Gotcha.
lot of people don't realize that now, with all the new laws that's passed with, you know, the opioid crisis.
Hmm.
Another thing is CPR, right? Do
Hmm.
you want to be resuscitated if it's ever a need to, right? Do you want artificial life support,
Gotcha.
right? So, and then another thing is, do you want artificial food and fluids? So you get to really take some time to think about those decisions. And I know it's sometimes an uncomfortable thought to think about, because it kind
Mhm.
of puts our mortality, um, it makes us think more about mortality,
Yeah.
but we have to have these conversations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we have to start being more prepared, because we don't want our family to have to make those decisions for us when
Right.
they're in a state, in an emotional state, right? So
Mhm.
we want to be able to make those decisions for ourselves, and then our family members can say, "Well, this is what mom would have wanted. This is
Right.
what dad would have wanted. So it just gives you more control to make those decisions.
Gotcha.
Also is the financial power of attorney.
Okay.
That's another thing too is when you die, you might say, oh, well, my daughter's going to take care of everything. Yeah,
Mhm.
she's responsible. Like you go down to the bank and you can't do anything because mom and dad's name are on the bank or just mom's name is on the bank account. So
Right.
we have no power at all to close anything, to do anything. So this allows you to designate a family member or friend who's responsible that you can trust to carry out your wishes as far as your bank accounts and other assets in the financial realm are taken care of, and you can handle those in a timely manner.
Nice.
Also, also the healthcare power of attorney. So there's like some family members get dementia when they get older, right?
Yeah.
So they're not able to make sound decisions. Who's making those decisions if a parent has dementia, if they need to go into assisted living or hospice or a nursing facility?
Mhm.
So again, you need a responsible family member to
Mhm.
make those decisions for you if you're ever in a situation where you cannot make those decisions for yourself. So
Indeed.
these are all things that we need to be thinking about.
Mhm.
Also, a living will, so that a will be in there as well.
Mhm.
Your last will and testament, which works in conjunction. So the nice thing about the software that we have is
Mhm.
that yes, we have the trust, which protects your assets. But say if you die and you forgot to put in there that you had another overseas account or another business that you had just started and forgot to add,
Right.
or a grandchild that you didn't get a chance to put in the
Mhm.
will. Well, although the last will and testament acts as a pour over will, so anything that you forgot, it
Mhm.
still kind of rolls it over into the trust
Okay.
after the fact, which is nice, right? So family members don't have to be buying for your things because it still rolls over into the trust
Mhm.
with the last will and testament. And then the other thing too, um, guardianship, right? Who,
Mhm.
if you have a family, who's going to take care of the kids? I know in
That's
our community,
big.
yeah, I know in our community when our kids were small, we got the kids christened, we had the godparents, right?
Mhm.
But some of us have moved away. We might not even see the godparents
Right.
like we used
Mhm.
to or keep in contact. So who takes care of the children in
Yeah.
that state if they're under the age of 18?
Yeah.
So if you have a family, you need to have a trust because those things need to be designated
Yeah.
because we just never know and we want our children to be taken care of.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed. So, the living will, what's the difference between the living will and the last will and testament?
So the living will is again just the things that you have written out. And then the last will and testament is anything that you forgot to
Mhm.
put into the trust and estate plan, kind of rolls everything into the estate plan and trust.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And how often should a plan be updated? Like once you've done it, when
That's a
should.
great question. You're asking some really great questions today. And I'm so glad because I'm sure if you have this question, a lot of people have these questions too, right? So
Yeah, indeed.
it should be updated, like if there's a divorce, if there's a marriage,
Mhm.
if there's children that are born, right?
Mhm.
Grandchildren, if you want to add them in as beneficiaries. If you move to another state, because the laws are different in different states.
Mhm.
And I just want to say our software has attorneys state-specific attorney drafted documents, so it
Okay.
can be used in all 50 states.
Oh, that's great.
And once you put your state in,
Mhm.
and it asks your county, it will create the documents for that specific state and county.
Okay. And how,
When I
go
have
ahead.
one more. When your children when they get older and become responsible adults, right? So
Mhm.
now you no longer need a guardian, but they may be the trustee of the estate. So those are just some examples of when you get more assets,
Mhm.
when the estate plan and trust need to be updated.
And how does it work if you have assets in different states? So let's say you have assets in the state that you live in, but you also have assets in other states.
So
Which
we
part
still
of.
would list those.
Mhm.
And once we go through the estate plan, we just list all of the different assets because they're your assets. And I'm glad you asked that. We do have attorneys on staff. So
Mhm.
if there's specific, because I'm not an attorney, let me put that disclaimer out there. So I don't answer legal questions, but I do
Mhm.
help you set up and coordinate your estate plan and your revocable living trust. But if there are caveats and questions that require more legal uh, answers, then we would refer to our attorneys on staff for those questions so that we make sure that we're filling the documents out correctly.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then how do people get started? Like, what are the steps that they need to do? Collection of documents.
So,
What do they need to
yep.
do?
So typically, what I do is I set up a 30-minute discovery call, and we go over, some of the things that you'll need. I have some forms that you fill out. So those forms just give you the opportunity to gather all the information that you'll need for the estate plan.
Mhm.
Some people like to have their assets go to different charitable organizations
Mhm.
that they are passionate about. So it just gives you an opportunity to fill out the form, get all the information, the names, addresses, telephone numbers.
Mhm.
And then also have an asset and liability form, and
Mhm.
that kind of gives you the opportunity to write down and think about all your assets and write them down.
Mhm.
And then once you do that, we have a 30-minute discovery call. We kind of talk through those things.
Mhm.
And then it's just as simple as once we do that, going on to the software and just updating all the information in the software. But
Mhm.
the software is really user friendly, which I like,
Yeah.
so anybody can use it, even if you're not computer savvy. you
Gotcha.
know. And I hold and myself and my staff, we hold your hand so you don't have to navigate the software alone.
Gotcha. And then it'll generate the documents
Yeah, so
after
once
everything.
we upload all the information,
Mhm.
um, and you have to transfer, like if you have any land or any homes, you transfer those in the name of the trust. So all of those documents will get populated and printed out.
Mhm.
And then the client will go and get it notarized.
Mhm.
You have to have two witnesses, so the notary can be one witness. Then we upload all of those documents into the trust.
Okay.
So that's what's called funding the trust. That's what keeps it in the vault, and that's when everything is protected. What we found that I would say about 65% of people who go to an attorney, they get everything written out. An attorney has software too that they use, by the way,
Mhm. Mhm.
but the trust did not get funded. So
Mm.
that's the key part of the estate plan is funding the trust. Because without
Gotcha.
that protection, your assets still are open for the court.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So if people put um, property in a trust, does that protect it from, you know, certain liabilities or?
Yeah, so it doesn't, once you put it in the trust, it's in the trust name. So it's no longer in your name, it's owned by the trust.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so that's one of the ways why the government can't touch it, because it's not in your name, it's in the trust name. And
Good.
then whoever you designate as the executor of the trust or trustee, then they will look at the will and say, okay, mom wanted us to sell the house, mom wanted us to keep the house in the family, but now they have direct access to do what they need to do. They don't have to wait on the court.
Gotcha. Gotcha. This has been really, really, really great. And how much does something like to put it, how much does it cost to put a plan in place? Is there a range of price
Yep.
range? Or,
So I'm here in Arizona,
mhm.
and if you were to go to an attorney, it would cost about $3,000 for an attorney to do your estate plan and trust, and
Mhm.
that's just with one asset. So
Mhm.
say that's just for the house.
Gotcha.
So if you have more than one asset, they charge you for each additional asset. So
Wow.
you can see how that that number starts off at 3,000, but it can increase just depending on what assets you have.
Right.
And then the fact that if you accumulate more wealth, then or things, you'll have to go back to them to get it updated, which is an additional maybe $300 to $500 is what they charge per hour, right?
Gotcha.
With our plan, it's 1995, which is a flat rate.
Okay.
And then for like the deed and the land,
Mhm.
we do have a contract with a third party company.
Mhm.
And that's just a small additional fee so that they can transfer the deed
Mhm.
and get it recorded at the county recorder's office correctly for you.
Okay. Awesome.
And
Awesome.
that's it. That's the flat fee that you would pay. If in
Mhm.
the future you want to make updates,
Mhm.
the cost would be $29 for the entire year.
Okay. Okay. In 1995 is $1,995.
That
Not
is correct.
19.
Yes, not $19.95. Yes, $1,995. And
Yes.
that would help you get all of your assets in the trust.
Indeed.
Thank you for
Indeed.
pointing that out.
Yes, and I was going to say, no, it's 1995. No. That's true. So people need to contact you. I put your information in the chat, but for those people who are listening, how do they contact you? What's the best way to reach you?
So you can go to my website at www.greentreefinancialsolutions.com, or you can reach me at 520-525-2571.
Awesome. Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
I would just like to kind of just reemphasize that it's never too soon to start planning for your financial future. Even if you're freshly out of college, you want to at least start the cash value permanent life insurance policies. The other thing too is uh, you can put a policy on your child at the age of 2 weeks old. I mean, I'm sorry, yeah, 2 weeks old or 2 weeks young, and just watch that money grow for your child, right? So you know, things come up for our children, and we want to plan smart and early. Is what I
Mhm.
would suggest.
Indeed, indeed. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Miss Green, for joining us today.
It's
For
been
those,
a pleasure.
mine as well. I always learn something new, and wealth building is it's a concept that I think escapes people. They think about money, but they
Mhm.
really don't think about the longevity of the money and how. not only can it serve you now, but it can serve those who are left behind after you're gone. So I think it's an important concept, to talk about trust, to talk about wills, to talk about life insurance, to talk about all of those tools that help people build wealth and build legacy in the future. So it's really, really a timely topic. And the more people who understand it, and the more people who do that investment sooner versus later, the better off they'll be in the future. So I just want to thank you again, and I want to thank those of you who have tuned in today. Our guests are here as a resource to you, so reach out to Ms. Green to get the information that you need. If you have any questions, definitely put them in the chat. We always go back, so if you put a question or a comment, we'll get back to you that way as well. And also remember to like, share, and subscribe this video. Share it with someone else who you feel might need or benefit from this information. Here at Lyonsview Realty Financial Fridays, we just want to thank you for watching today. We're here to provide you with the resources, the information, and the tips and trends that impact your bottom line and help you make the best financial decisions. So I hope that you receive something of value today. Just want to send love, light, and prayers out to everyone. My name is Clara Lyons-DeVaughn. Financial Fridays streams live on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So until then, keep living your best life.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good day.
you too.